Thursday. This is the first live session of the $1 Million Case Study. I'm really excited for it. If you guys don't know, we released a new season of the $1 Million Case Study. Season 4, our best season yet, and the first episode just went live yesterday. Hopefully you had a chance to check it out. If not, we'll drop a link to the replay in the chat box now. So the goal of this AMA is to answer whatever questions you guys have for me. We're going to be doing these every Thursday following each episode of the new $1 Million Case Study, okay? So in the AMAs, we're going to focus on the topic for each week. This week's $1 Million Case Study, we were focused on product research and finding that first perfect product. So I'm gonna try to really focus on those questions for this particular AMA, all right? So let me know in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to help. We're monitoring on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. So we're gonna collect all those comments and questions you guys have across all these different places, and I'll be more than happy to answer them, all right? So let me see what our first questions are here. All right, we already have a bunch. If you're private labeling, does the label have to go on the product itself or can it go on the packaging? So we're gonna do a whole $1 Million Case Study episode just on product packaging, but just so you guys know, it doesn't have to go on the product itself. It can just go on the product packaging. That being said, it is a little bit more defensible to also have it on the product and product packaging, because then it's a little bit easier to like identify counterfeiters or something else if that were to pop up. Hey Greg, great stuff. I'd like to know why you said we should stay away from CDs, DVDs, and software, since this is some of the stuff that can have high margins. You can sell all those types of items if you would like. However, you'll of course have to like create the media to go on there, right? So that doesn't really fall in with like the private labeling strategy that we're teaching throughout the $1 Million Case Study. So I say kind of stay away from that because we're doing more so physical products instead of media products. However, like if you designed a piece of software, feel free to sell that stuff on Amazon. Greg Gore on YouTube said, how do I filter summer products easily during the product research on the web app? Unfortunately, there's no way to really filter out like summer items or seasonal items inside of the web app. This is something that we're actually going to be adding soon. We're coming up with a way to gauge the seasonality of a product right now, but right now there's no way to filter based off of seasonality. Mohammed on YouTube asks, what does a number 6 medium demand / low competition with sales fairly distributed among the top sellers indicate? I think you answered your own question, Mohammed. That's exactly what it indicates. It's medium demand, so it doesn't have super high demand or low demand. The demand's about medium. The competition's relatively low. A 6 on the extension is a pretty good score. 10's about impossible. 9 is very, very good. 7s and 8s are pretty good. A lot of products that launch are 7s and 8s. 6s are decent. You can probably find something better if you keep looking for a little bit longer though. Let's see. What is a responsible time to expect to pay yourself rather than investing everything back in the business? Good question. And this is gonna vary for each individual person, okay? So the more money that you can invest back in your business, the higher likelihood of your probably success and speed at which you grow, okay? So starting businesses is a capital intensive thing. They take cash to grow and to invest in new products and to order more products and that kind of thing. So you can grow quicker if you reinvest all your money back in the business. However, that's of course not possible for everyone. So it's just going to kind of depend on a person by person situation. I know me personally, I didn't take any money out of the business for the first year. People who do very well or they're not concerned with maybe like this quick growth, they might start paying themselves after a few months, but let's just give you a little way to gauge it. With an LLC, can I sell on the UK market? What do you recommend? Let's see. We sell in the UK market and we do so with a US LLC. All right, so we were allowed to register on the UK platform with a US LLC. Yeah, so that is allowed. If you're asking like liability protection or any of like the finer details about like a US entity versus an EU entity from the EU marketplaces, I don't really know enough to answer those questions. Those are more like lawyer-based questions, but technicalities for signing up for the UK market, I know an LLC is allowed. What other questions do we have here? How relevant is the opportunity score? Sometimes I feel like the product is good and the reviews and sales reflect that, but when the opportunity is low. The opportunity score is a good gauge, okay? It's like a guiding star, helps you make product decisions, but it's not the end-all be-all. The opportunity score isn't smart enough to know things, more complicated things, like if it's potentially high liability or has or patents or some things like that. Those are more sophisticated things that right now it takes a human to kind of like test for that type of stuff, right? But it is like a good like gauge. All right, on YouTube, FBSORB said, pretty much everything on YouTube has a patent. How do you know if you're violating a patent on your product? So say that's not really true. I'd say my gut feeling is probably like 20% of products on Amazon have patents. So that's not really true. How do you know if you're violating a patent on your product? Okay, so we're gonna do a whole episode on patents, all right? And to do a very, very thorough job of patent research is pretty difficult, and you usually have to hire like a lawyer. That being said, you can do like pretty good patent research pretty quickly and easily and by yourself. Okay, so patents are registered with the government entities. To search the database is relatively like difficult to do. That's why I like to do a very, very thorough job. You'd probably need to hire a lawyer or someone who's specialized in this thing, but you can just do things like Google the product name with patent at the end of it. You can look on the website or the Amazon listing to see if there's a patent listed there. You can look on the product or the packaging, and the patent's usually listed there. You can search the Google patent database and the government patent database, and throughout all those things, you can be like 90% sure that it doesn't have, or like I'd say even 95% sure it doesn't have any patents. If you spoke to a lawyer about this, they would of course say like, oh yeah, of course you need a lawyer, and we'll charge you by the hour to do 20 hours of patent research. And like if you're like a big company, you can probably do that, but for Amazon sellers, like those easier ways is usually sufficient. Adam on YouTube says, you have 3 products like Jungle Snugs and have 1 FN SKU. How does Amazon tell the difference in your warehouse to get the right product to the customer? Or do you actually end up with 3 FN SKUs? Yes, you end up with 3 FN SKUs. Each child product or variation is gonna have its own FN SKU. All right, on YouTube, EEI Tech. Hey Greg, when I sort a listing by price instead of relevance, my listing as well as many others is not shown in the list. Why is this? When I sort a listing by price, I don't think I understand the question. I'm sorry. EEI Tech, if you want to try to put that in there again with like maybe a little more details, I'll try to answer, but I don't quite understand it right now. Brian on YouTube says, there are any worries about all of us doing $1 million case study, finding and launching the same products about the same time? I'm laughing a little bit when you say this, Brian, because ever since I've been selling on Amazon and ever since we've been doing the $1 million case and everything else, everyone always thinks that it's going to be too competitive because everyone is doing it and there's going to be no opportunities left for them. And the fact of the matter is that's just not the case, okay? Like there are hundreds of millions of products on Amazon. It equates for like half of the online e-commerce. So like the scale of Amazon is really difficult for a lot of us like to understand, but it's just so massive that even though there's like 1,000 people following along with the case study, the truth of the matter is only a certain percentage of those are actually going to take action, and those who do, it's just like there's so many buyers and consumers on there that I really don't think that's a concern. Jonathan on YouTube said, starting with 500 units on Amazon, what should my first goal be? Getting ranked in page 1, make revenue? I would say your first goal should be to make sales. After that, getting ranked in page 1 is a good goal. Like oftentimes I'll set my price at the early days a little bit lower because I want to make those initial sales so I start ranking better, and that so I start getting reviews for my product. So I think that's a good goal in the early days. Lorianne on Facebook says, if I'm searching a product in the market, there are a few reviews, more than 2,000 sales a month, but the price is very low, like 17 bucks. I'm confident that I can do a really good improvement on the product, so it could let me increase the price. What do you recommend? Do you recommend to try it? So of course, like from the pieces of information you gave me here, I don't have everything I need to know to like really understand whether this is a good opportunity or not. But I do agree that if they're paying $17 for a product that's getting relatively poor reviews and you're gonna make a lot of improvements to it, yeah, I think you can definitely charge more money for that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to charge like $20, $25 for that. So it sounds like it's probably a good opportunity. Facebook, Ed said, I just received a JS Marketplace email this morning, and I see there are a couple of freelancers offering to do product research for us. Are there any reasons we would not purchase from these successful Amazon sellers? Other than not getting one of your research tools, that is. If you're the type of person who would rather hire someone to do that, then that's definitely an option. You can hire someone to do product research for you. To be honest though, my opinion, that's one thing that I do like to do myself. The product research is extremely important on whether or not your product's successful or not. And if you want to be successful in this business, I'd say this is probably the most important part for you to understand well. So like me personally, I would hire someone to do about everything else in my business. Like that would probably be the last thing that I hire someone else to do in my business, all right? But I mean, that's up to you, of course. That's just my personal opinion on it. On YouTube says, nowadays, almost all products have huge number of sellers, 500,000. How should I react to that? So that's not true. There's a whole bunch of products that, so like you can't just look at like the search, like how many items showed up in the search result, because a lot of those probably aren't really relevant for your actual keyword, you know what I mean? So instead you have to be thinking about like how many people are actually selling something that would compete with your individual product. And the fact of the matter is most of them aren't 500 or 1,000 sellers. Like just during the $1 million case study that was just released yesterday, we show you a lot of products that there's only like a few sellers, or we show you multiple products where there's only a few sellers selling them. That was just like in 30 minutes of just like quick example product research. There are hundreds of millions of products on Amazon, but the filters you recommend only come up with 8,000 to 10,000 products. How do we get more variety? Okay, good question. So you're right, there are about 400 million products on Amazon, but in the Jungle Scout product database, there's only, I think 60 or 80 million for the US. And what we do is we only put products in our product database if they sell 1 unit per month or more. So there's tons and tons of like books on Amazon, all kinds of crap on Amazon that's only ever sold like 1 in the history of Amazon. And that's just like that's just like more noise than it is beneficial, okay? So we don't put those in the product database. If you want more variety when you do a search in the product database, then I would recommend opening up your filters, doing different categories. During next week's episode, I'm gonna show you a little bit more like advanced product research. We're actually gonna do like 2 or 3 weeks just of product research so you guys can like understand the theory behind it a little bit more. And then you can start making like your own filter recommendations, like filters that kind of work best for you. On Facebook, Alan said, is there any quick financial formula to determine initial startup costs and making sure you are always in stock? I would just like to feel a bit more confident about investing in a product given that JS app seems robust. Yes, we're going to talk about this. So I know there's, with only being in 1 episode of the season, I know you guys have lots of questions on all this different stuff, and we're gonna cover about all these questions in later episodes. But just to give you a quick idea, because you did ask it during an AMA, the formula for startup costs, what I typically do is the landed cost for how many units I'm gonna order, and I like to order at least 3 months of inventory to get started. Let's see, so that's one. I estimate that 5% of my revenue is what it's going to cost me for PPC. And then you can also factor in if you want to do your own photos or hire someone. If you want to hire someone, you need to factor that in. If you do your own packaging or hire someone to do your packaging, you have to factor that in. And those would be like the main startup costs. But again, we're going to go in more detail in that in a later episode. I just caught Instagram out of the corner of my eye. Here it is. Boris on Instagram says, when Greg calls seller support, it's a direct line to Jeff Bezos. I wish. That would be nice. All right. On YouTube, Jory says, are FBM and Amazon competition for FBA sellers? Yes, I guess everyone's competition for FBA sellers. That being said, people who are doing FBM usually aren't eligible for Prime. So there's over 100 million Prime members, and those people only now that I have Prime, if anything's not Prime, I'm like, why would I order that? Like, I'll have to wait 5 days to get that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I think most Prime members are like me. It's like, if I can't get this in 2 days, like, I don't have time to wait for this. So we have a huge advantage over them. Amazon, of course, does offer Prime on all of their products. That being said, Amazon's actually my favorite person to compete against. I would rather compete against Amazon than another FBA seller, because Amazon's listings are usually poor quality. They're under optimized. The pictures are usually poor quality. We don't have to worry about them doing like shady tactics or anything like that. So Amazon's actually my favorite person to compete against. I think of FBA sellers as my largest competition. FBM and Amazon, they're like less of a concern for me. Did any of your products fail? Did you lose any money? Good question, Salima on YouTube. I've launched over 100 products on Amazon. About 10% of those I did not reorder, which to me is a fail, okay? So what I mean by that is usually like my product will get in, maybe it doesn't get as good reviews as what I had hoped because it's not really that good of quality. Maybe more competition hopped on it. Maybe for whatever reason, something else comes up and I decided this product is no longer worth me reordering, or maybe just margins are too thin. Margins are only like 5%. It's like, I don't want to reinvest my cash just for 5% margins. That's not worth it to me. So I've never, pretty much on all those products though, I'll at least like break even, maybe lose a little bit of money, but like I've never like placed an order for $5,000 and like lost $5,000. You know what I mean? Like maybe I placed an order for $5,000. I had to decrease my price because it was getting really bad reviews or something else like that. So like I only recouped $4,500 or something like that. So yes, I mean, this is a business. There is a chance you can lose money, right? You're investing it in this product. You're investing in your business. Businesses aren't guaranteed income, of course. But like using the strategies and methods that we're teaching throughout the $1 Million Case Study totally for free, you can really reduce a lot of that risk and really increase the chances of success. How important is the listing quality score in Jungle Scout? So the listing quality score in Jungle Scout is a great indicator for the quality of the listing, or another way to word that would be the likelihood that the listing converts, okay? So a poor LQS, a poor listing quality score, means that that particular listing has a low likelihood of converting. Okay, so that means it's easier to sell the same product or compete against that product because it's a poor quality listing, all right? So that's just one data point that you can use to factor into like your product research decisions. What ROI percentage do you typically aim for? Good question, Essie on YouTube. I look for a 100% ROI in my cash out of pocket. So if let's say I make an initial order for $5,000, my goal is to make $5,000 profit on that. So like I double my money, okay? Now that might only mean like 20% margins, right? Because Amazon takes a fee, there's PPC costs, there's all these other costs, but that's not like my cash out of pocket. The only time I have to take cash out of my bank account and give it to someone is when I purchase the units from the supplier. After that, like FBA fees and PPC costs and all that kind of stuff, that's just taken out of my revenue. So I'm looking for a 100% return on investment on my cash. Andrew on YouTube says, how would you find a relatively new trending product? A new product that has high sales velocity after its intro, or shy away from this strategy and go for something with historical sales? A new product that you think is going to be like a trending or upcoming like fad product, I'd say these are like a little bit higher risk, higher reward. They don't have a proven track record. You know, like last summer, if you were selling fidget spinners, like for the first few months, you probably like made a killing because these things were selling like crazy and like crazy margins on them. But then everyone stopped using fidget spinners, and there was 50 sellers selling them, and there was like too much supply. So that was something like high risk, high reward. You might have made a whole bunch of money relatively quickly, but that wasn't like a long lasting product. Now, there are other products that are like new, we've never seen these before, but aren't like a fad or trendy. Like they'll sell for years and years to come. So you just kind of have to use a little bit of, or do a little bit of thinking around that. Gary on YouTube said, at which point would you engage the jungle market team to help launch a product for the first time? Meaning, can I hire an expert to help with the rest of the process to launch? The beautiful thing about jungle market is there's experts on there to help you with about anything you need. I think you have to ask yourself, do you want to learn how to do this yourself? If so, you're in the right spot, because the $1 Million Case Study is going to teach you how to do all this stuff yourself. But then you have to ask yourself, like, maybe you don't, or you don't have time, or that's something that you're not enjoying doing. And all those things are great. That's a great time to hire someone to perform these services for you, right? So it's like, okay, I like doing everything except I'm a terrible writer, so I'm gonna hire a copywriter off the jungle market to do that part for me. Or I like doing all of it except setting up my PPC. That's too scary to me. I'm gonna hire someone to do that. So I mean, you can hire people to like do every part of your business for you. However, I do have to say, like, most business owners at least understand how to do like a lot of the parts for their business. So I would probably emphasize to you that I think you should at least learn kind of like all the steps and then decide like, okay, like this is outside of my area of expertise, or like I don't have strengths in this. English isn't my first language, so I want to hire someone who is to do my copywriting for me, or whatever else, you know. Those would be good examples of like when to hire freelancers to help. All right. How do you deal with analysis paralysis? Salima asked this on YouTube. Good question. This is something that I think a lot of beginners and people starting out deal with, right? They watch all this, they understand how to do it, but it's intimidating to them. It's scary for them to invest the money and launch that first product. But at some point, you just have to do it. I don't really have any better tips for you than that, because unfortunately, at some point, you just have to get over with it and pull the trigger and launch that product. So I think that's about the best answer I have for the analysis paralysis. Yeah. Is there any way to find out the volume of search for your keywords for free? Loriana on Facebook asked this. I don't know of any free ways to do it. In Jungle Scout, the web app, we have a tool called Keyword Scout, which gives you real Amazon search volumes. However, you do have to buy the software to do it. You can buy the software for $39 a month, so it's not very much money in the big scheme of things when you're talking about building a business off of this. On YouTube, T-Kong says, tons of Chinese suppliers selling directly on Amazon now. Thoughts, suggestions for how FBA sellers like us to compete? This is another one of those things that, as long as I've been selling on Amazon, 6 years now, everyone's saying this, like, oh, Amazon, Chinese factories are just going direct now. Like, I can't go on there anymore, or whatever else. And, you know, I don't let this like scare me off, right? It's like there's still opportunities on Amazon. It's a very big pie. There's a lot of pieces for all of us here. The suggestions on how to compete is just doing the methods that we're gonna be talking about throughout the $1 Million Case Study. Creating a great product, creating a great brand, creating a great listing, improving on the product, all these types of things. This is how you compete with Chinese factories. This is how you compete with other sellers. This is how you compete with Amazon. This is just how you succeed in business on this platform. Ashton said, what do you think about selling multiple seasonal products at different times so that there's less competition? You can do this. I know multiple people who do this. The biggest downside to this is it's not consistent sales throughout the year, and the logistics from it can be a little bit of a headache, right? Like if your item gets delayed or stuck in an inspection or whatever else, and you miss half the season, like if you're selling like Christmas lights and people are only buying these things for like a month, you can make a lot of money during that month, but you need to make sure to have your logistics figured out to make sure it's in for that prime time. Try to be careful about not to order too much, but you want to have enough. So it makes logistics a little bit more difficult. However, a lot of people do it and succeed with it. So it's something you can do if you want. On YouTube, Yavuz says, they say that if someone knew how to be successful on Amazon, they wouldn't share it with you in the first place. What do you think? Why are you sharing with us knowledge that you can use for yourself? All right, so when I first started out as an entrepreneur, I was very young. I very much had the mindset that like I need to learn this stuff and then like I'm not going to share it with anyone else. All right. And throughout my career, all right, you have to start asking yourself like, what makes you happy? What do you want to do with your life, and how do you spend your days? Because when you're a very young entrepreneur, you have a very limited mindset, and you think like there's only so much money in the world. Like I probably won't ever be able to collect enough to make me successful, whatever else, all these thoughts. So like I have like this very limited mindset. And then once you start to reach a certain level of success with entrepreneurship, it's like, okay, like I have enough money or more money than like I know like what to do with now, or, you know, I don't need any more money. More money in my life right now wouldn't like increase happiness. So then it's all about like, okay, well, how do I want to spend my days? Some people are passionate, you know, like some people, again, like before you get into business, I used to think that, you know, like, okay, after I've made like enough money, I'm just gonna go sit on the beaches, but that's really boring. What's fun for me is creating things like this. Like I'm a creator, I love building things. So like creating the $1 million case study and helping all you guys and inspiring thousands of Amazon sellers and changing people's lives and stuff, that's like a very, very fun thing to do for me. And that's like what gets me stoked to get out of bed in the morning, okay? So, and I'm confident that actually you will have the same mindset after you've reached like a certain level like of success with FBA or Amazon or whatever else. And you said, you know, if someone knew how to be successful on Amazon, they wouldn't share it with you in the first place. We've already launched 3 products on Amazon. You can use Jungle Scout and see how well they're selling. So like you can, the social proof is like, the proof is there. You know, you can, if you don't want to believe like any of our testimonials or anything else, you can just look at the products we've already launched on Amazon publicly and see how well they're selling. You'll see that we're having success with these products. So we've proven to the world 3 out of 3 times, 100% of the times that we can launch successful products, be successful on Amazon, and make money off of it. So yeah, those are my thoughts around it. All right. On Instagram, Family Travel Boss says, I'm having a hard time finding a product. What should I do? Stick with us. We're going to do 3 episodes throughout the $1 million case study on how to find profitable products to sell, okay? So if you've only watched the first episode, don't worry. We're going to go into this more depth. We're going to teach you more tactics associated with it. So don't worry about it yet. Just continue to follow along with the $1 million case study and you'll be fine. On YouTube, Jory says, who's responsible if a client hurts himself with one of your products? Good question. This goes into product liability. And as you guys know, especially I think this is true in the US, not so much other countries, but it's a very kind of like sue happy culture, we could say. So people can try to sue anyone else for whatever they want, right? So I mean, like if someone trips and falls and pokes their eye out with my marshmallow stick, they could potentially try to sue me from it. So, you know, the first level of protection against that is through an LLC. By forming a legal entity, it protects your personal assets from your corporate assets if done correctly. The second level of protection would be something like product insurance, okay? And depending on your risk tolerance, you can choose different ones of these. I know a lot of people, they just sell on Amazon without even an LLC. They're not worried about people going after their personal assets. You know, people who are a little more risk adverse, like me, they would want an LLC to protect their business assets from their personal assets. If you're really risk adverse, you'd probably also have product liability insurance, or you've gotten bigger. So these are all like different things that you can do. That being said, I have, knock on wood, I have never heard of an Amazon seller one time getting sued for the products they sold. Okay, so just, it will probably happen someday somewhere, but I haven't ever personally heard of it. And I know a lot of Amazon sellers. I see a few questions in here that are starting to get into things like PPC and email campaigns and all that kind of stuff. And I want to focus this AMA on this week's $1 million case study topic, which is how to find profitable products to sell on Amazon. It's episode 1, so that's what we're starting with. I'm going to cover some more of this advanced stuff later on down the road, okay? But we want to stay focused on the present. We want to do like just-in-time learning. So just learn what we need to know for this week. Next week, we'll bite off another small bite-sized chunk to learn about the next piece. Don't worry, we're going to teach you how to do everything in detail, so you don't have to be worried about it. People on YouTube, multiple people asking for Keyword Scout for the UK, EU. It's about to be released. I know I've said that for a few weeks now, but we're this close, just working out the final little things, so it's coming soon. All right, on Facebook, Tazi says, excited to join the journey right from the beginning. My question is, when I get a good opportunity score, do I need to delete all the products that appear twice from the table? Once a promotion and once again as a product. When I delete them, the opportunity score is giving a different result. Thank you very much. The opportunity score adds up all of the products in the results. So yes, if you're displaying sponsored products, it may be beneficial to delete those and have the opportunity score recalculated. On YouTube, Yavu says, if I find a product that is under keyword white garlic press and it's also listed under garlic press, where are the sales coming from in reality? Because I am misled because of main keyword traffic. Okay, so I know this confuses people. In reality, sales are for that product are probably coming from hundreds and hundreds of different keywords, okay? So you can choose a main keyword, and this is like the main one you want to target for your title and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't mean that all your sales are coming from that, right? There's probably people searching for white garlic press for modern kitchens, something else, whatever. And like there'll be sales based off that keyword. Amazon doesn't give us the transparency to know all those keywords that people are using to purchase our products, so we'll never know. But that, in reality, they're coming from lots of different ways, all right? That's why it's not as important to focus on what keywords the unit's making sales on. It's more important to just focus on the sales for that product, okay? And then later we'll do keyword research to optimize it for all of our best keywords. All right, Benjamin on YouTube, what's the best accounting software for Amazon FBA? Jungle Scout actually has a piece of software called Fetcher. It's an accounting and profit analytics tool for Amazon sellers. It's specifically built for Amazon sellers. If you also need to combine it with other businesses, then you might want to try to use something like QuickBooks. However, QuickBooks doesn't give you very much insight into your FBA business. It's more so just like the kind of like the big numbers all grouped together, so not a lot of insight. So actually some people use those two combined. Hey Greg, do you suggest having the manufacturers do all the shipping or look for a separate company to do this? I normally look for a separate freight forwarder to do the shipping for my product. Vlad on YouTube, whenever you started Amazon FBA, did it seem too good to be true sometimes? It kind of does. It still kind of seems too good to be true. This, I think about this analogy a lot. It makes me think about how this is kind of like too good to be true is, you know, Walmart essentially put out of business all of like the mom and pop small brick and mortar stores, right? So, you know, if we rewind to like 40 years ago in America, there was no, you know, like our Walmart was just getting started. I don't know how big it was, but there's a whole bunch of mom and pop shops selling all these like different little things, right? And Walmart put out of business like 80% of those, right? And then it became like big box stores like Walmart. And then like I think that's a good analogy for today's time on e-commerce. Like Amazon's putting out of business all the individual e-commerce stores, right? But the only difference this time is like Walmart didn't let the mom and pop shops sell their goods, like put their goods in on the Walmart shelves, right? The cool thing about Amazon is Amazon lets all of us as like little guys put our product on their platform and sell it on their platform, which I think is pretty amazing opportunity. So like, yeah, it does almost seem too good to be true. Is it possible to start a profitable business with low cost to produce a product with only $1,000 investment? A lot of people start with like $500, $200, $1,000. Yes, it's possible. A lot of people have done it. That being said, to be completely honest and transparent with you guys, if you have more money, a little bit more money than that, it will be easier to get started. Okay. If you have $2,000, $3,000, maybe even $5,000 to start this, it is going to be quite a bit easier. You're going to have more options of products to sell, but there are, you know, a lot of success stories people I've interviewed during the Jungle Scout Seller Stories series that have started with just a few $100. Are there any other alternatives for suppliers aside from Alibaba for new sellers? Alibaba is the best. An alternative is something called Global Sources. It's similar to Alibaba. If you're looking for US factories, ThomasNet is the best I know of. However, to be honest, it's kind of crappy. You guys copied Viral Launch with the opportunity score, right? No. We were the first ones in the business to offer a Chrome extension and the product, and we were the first one to offer the opportunity score. Jungle Scout was by far the first one in the business to do this, and because of that, we've been able to grow and offer better products and have more data than any of the competitors. Good question, though. Let's see. All right, it is time for a t-shirt giveaway. All right, we're giving away 10 shirts that are MDS Challenge shirts to show off that you joined the giveaway and to be part of the $1 Million Case Study tribe, all right? So we're about to drop a link to the store in the chat boxes, and the first 10 people to use it will get the free shirt, all right? So the code is MDCS Live, and we're dropping the link in the chat box now. So that's MDCS Live is the code. The first 10 people to use that get a free t-shirt. So congratulations. All right, on YouTube, Magda said, my first product is not selling, but I have finalized my second product in some niche. Should I order it or wait till my first product sells? Let's see. Good question. I mean, I think I would have to go back to think like, okay, why is your first product not selling well? Do you still need to optimize it? Do you need to set up PPC? Have you not done your launch yet? It's hard to know. Like the easiest way to scale up these businesses is to add more products. But it sounds like you might need to kind of figure out how to do that well with your first one before. So that one's kind of up to you. I don't know for sure. And Jay said, do you think oversized products should be totally ignored, or is it worth digging through them for hidden gems? Good question. I would say that they should not be totally ignored. They're a little bit more of a hassle, but I sell oversized products. All right, and I don't know, the $1 Million Case Study product might be oversized. I'd prefer simple and smaller products, but there's less opportunities there because, of course, they're going to be more competitive because they're easier. All right, how to get reviews at the beginning before PPC, after listing a product, and after launching, and after that as well. Best and genuine way. The only way to really increase the number of reviews that are easily the best way to increase the number of reviews you get is through sending email follow-ups, all right? So you can use a tool like JumpSend. It's one of our tools, but it works very well to automatically send emails to people, ask them to leave a review. That's by far the thing that you can do that will increase the number of sales the most, all right? The next things you can do, there are some other things like you can put like a product insert inside the packaging. You can, that's really probably like the second best way, but it's not really that effective. By far, like the lowest hanging fruit and the best way to get more reviews is to send the follow-up emails to the customers. All right, we have about 5 minutes left, so drop your last questions in the chat box now. I'll try to answer as many more as I can over the next 5 minutes. And don't you guys worry, we're coming out with another episode of $1 Million Case Study next week, and I'll be doing another AMA next week as well. All right, I'm gonna take one from Instagram real quick. What are your thoughts on using the wholesale FBA strategy? I've found that most of the wholesale products are pretty competitive with pretty low margins. And it's fairly difficult to sign up for wholesale accounts with a lot of these companies. So if you have some good wholesale connections where you can order these products for inexpensive and they're not that competitive on Amazon, then sure, go for it. But I've personally found that the private label method seems to be a little bit better in my opinion. All right. I find it difficult to find the best bid for my best converting keywords. Can you tell us how to do it, Greg? Inside of Jungle Scout's Keyword Scout, so the Keyword Scout is the tool inside of the Jungle Scout web app. it shows you what your bid should be for a 90% win rate for all of the keywords. That's exact match, broad match, and headline search ads. So you can look in there and check it out. That should be helpful. How do you know when to order more inventory? Again, we're kind of getting off topic a little bit here, but I'll go ahead and answer this. You need to figure out your lead times. Okay, so if it takes like a month to manufacture and a week to ship, that's like 5 weeks. Look at your sales velocity, so how fast this item's selling, and then I would probably give yourself 1 or 2 week, probably like a 2 week buffer. So if it takes 5 weeks from the date I order to the day it gets into Amazon, 2 week buffer, you know, that I order 7 weeks before I'm projecting to go out of stock. Can you say something about bundling? Rotator on YouTube, sure. I'd be happy to say something about bundling. Bundling's a good option. It's something that you can do. Our $1 Million Case Study Season 2, we bundled a washcloth with a towel. And this was pretty effective. It was a way to add value to our particular product. And it's something that you could think about doing. So, yeah. How many number of units do you recommend ordering for the first time? I would recommend ordering as many units as you think you're gonna sell in the first 3 months. So I usually try to order 3 months worth of inventory, all right? Is $3 profit enough for selling on FBA? I would have to see what the landed cost was. So if it cost me $3 to order one of these units, then $3 profit would be enough because that'd be 100% return on investment for my products, all right? All right, we have about 2 or 3 minutes left. So drop your last questions in. Have you hired Chinese inspectors for quality control? Yes, I've used VTrust and Asian Inspection before. They help do inspections either during production or after production's been finalized before they ship it. It's a nice kind of way to third party to inspect your goods, and yeah, check them out. How do I get over the fear of choosing a new product? Clark Hill on YouTube. Clark, I would recommend you watch the entire $1 Million Case Study, all right? In it, you're gonna see in-depth how to do all these different steps, okay? And really, like, through education and learning about this is the best way to increase the likelihood that you're gonna be successful on these products, all right? And all these launches. So that's what I would recommend. Why does the data report of Jungle Scout vary compared to the competitors? Doesn't mean the data is totally based on assumptions. I'm actually glad you asked this because we're doing another case study right now where we're comparing the accuracy of Jungle Scout's data to like 10 of our competitors. And we're doing this transparently and trying to be as unbiased as possible to get the most accurate results. The reason we're doing this is because we're very confident that our data is the most accurate, and we're gonna use this case study and this third-party research to like prove that to you guys. So I mean, you can stay tuned for that. You can take my word for it if you want, but we've done a lot of testing to make sure that we have the most accurate data in the industry. Is Jungle Scout hiring? Yes, we are actually hiring. junglescout.com/jobs. Check it out. We have a few open positions, both remote in Vancouver and in Austin. All right, time for about 1 or 2 more questions. All right. Brian Salman says, during episode 1 of the $1 Million Case Study, I'm glad you watched, Brian. The plastic table covers had 44 different colors. It's good to go with something with so many variants if you're new. I would stay away with from something with 44 variants. That's a ton. And it's difficult to do inventory management and reorders for all those different colors. So, you know, even like our hooded baby towel, it has 4 colors, gray, white, blue, pink. And it's even a little bit more difficult to do inventory management and reorders for those. So I would recommend something with like 3 or less variants personally. Do you recommend to brand your product before taking it on the market? Yes, we will show you guys how to brand your product. We're doing a whole episode just on that in this episode of this season, the $1 Million Case Study. I have an opportunity to launch food, but I haven't seen you promoting to sell food on Amazon. Is that bad? So throughout this method that we're using, like we're mainly focusing on getting physical products manufactured in China. You can of course sell food on Amazon. However, it's just like a little bit different, and to be honest, it's not something I know a whole lot about. So like if you have a good source for it and you understand like FDA and food packaging and all those different kinds of things, then yeah, go for it. I'm just being honest that I don't have much experience like in that particular niche, so it's not something that I feel comfortable teaching to you guys. And let's see if there's one last question. Trying to pick a good one that relates to season 4, episode 1. All right. I've launched my first product and was not as successful as I would have liked. What advice would you have for choosing a second product? All of the advice that I have for this, for choosing your next product, is going to be all the advice that I'm sharing throughout the $1 Million Case Study, right? So like I said, episodes 1, 2, and 3 are all episodes covering product research and how to choose that perfect product. And even though that's the most important part, there are a lot of other steps, right? Like we still need to find a good factory, get it shipped, get it launched, launch it successfully, set up PPC, set up a great listing. So don't be overwhelmed by all this. I know it's a lot of steps, but we're really biting it off. You know, we're really separating it into little bite-sized chunks. And we're going to be teaching you one bite-sized chunk at a time throughout the whole $1 Million Case Study, right? So with that being said, I know there's more questions, but I gotta wrap it up. I gotta get back to work, guys. I have stuff to do. We're still improving our products, making Jungle Scout better every single day, which that means I have to get back to work. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I'm glad you're a part of $1 Million Case Study Season 4. For you guys who won the free t-shirts, I hope you are enjoying them. And make sure to cover your action items for before next Tuesday. We released the action items at the end of yesterday's episode 1, okay? These are the things you need to do in order to be prepared for episode 2 next week. In addition, if you guys don't already know about our Amazon Seller Seed Fund, you can enter by taking a picture proving you're doing your action items, hashtag Freedom Builders and hashtag MDCS Challenge, and each time you do that, you're entered. You get one entry into a pot to win up to $2,500 to help you start your first Amazon business. All right. Thank you guys again. It's been awesome, and I will see you next week.